Good morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR and welcome back to another video. So as we've been slowly figuring out for a while now, apparently not every Pokemon comes from the region that it was originally discovered in, and through the years we've gotten various tidbits of information, some more vague than others, that have either confirmed this or at least hinted towards it. So today we're going to be taking a look at some of these exotic Pokemon and trying to figure out where they really came from, if it's not already confirmed. Who knows, some of these could even make for some good future regional variants. Also, by the way, I gotta give credit to my buddy Carlos, a viewer of the channel, who approached me with this video idea. So, massive shout out to him, and remember, feel free to shoot me any ideas anytime you like. Starting with the Kanto region, let's take a look at Tauros. In the Kanto region, Tauros can only be found in the Safari Zone, which is a reserve for either extremely uncommon Pokemon or those imported from other regions. Our first hint that Tauros may not be a Kanto native. Tauros were first naturally found in the wild on routes 38 and 39 in the Johto region, but I'm a little skeptical as to how natural these might be, given the presence of farmland in this area. It's highly possible that these wild Tauros came from Tauros that were domesticated and got loose over time. The same goes for Route 12 in the Kalos region, where both Tauros and Miltank can be found in the wild, but probably came from the nearby farm. This leaves Alola as the region that Tauros, and Miltank by extension, are likely from. They again appear in the farmland near Paniolo Ranch, but also out in the wilderness on Pony Plains. The Pokedex seems to reaffirm this, stating that historically, people in areas all over the world have ridden Tauros, but the practice is said to have started in Alola. Furthermore, the Alola Pokedex curiously groups Tauros and Miltank together on the same Pokedex page, despite not being related by evolution. The only other Pokemon with this distinction are Passimian and Oranguru, so maybe the people of Alola know a little bit more about the origin of Tauros and Miltank than they're letting on. While we're on the subject, this one is pretty well documented, but I'll mention it anyway. Exeggutor is also inferred to be a native of the Alola region. In fact, this was hinted at as far back as Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, where the Pokedex states that they originally came from the tropics. And while Exeggutor is shown to have a very strong presence in the Alola region, it's really the Pokedex entry for Alola and Exeggutor in Pokemon Sword that seems to confirm Alola as its native region, stating, "Blazing sunlight has brought out the true form and powers of this Pokemon." Mr. Mime is likely not from the Kanto region, since it can only be obtained via trading with NPCs, although they do start curiously appearing south of Pallet Town on Route 21 3 years later in Pokemon Gold and Silver, likely as a loose reference to the one owned by Ash's family in the anime. It could be from the Galar region due to the regional variant, but the language in the Pokedex seems to suggest that the original Mr. Mime came first. This leaves the Kalos region as the most likely spots that Mr. Mime and Mime Jr. both originated from, as they can both be found living in the Reflection Cave. Being an area known for its large mirrors and a large population of psychic types, it just seems like the most likely spot where a miming Pokemon would develop, as opposed to its more random appearances in the Sinnoh and Alola regions. Plus, in Pokemon Go, Mr. Mime only appears in Europe, which Kalos of course has the strongest ties to, being based on France. Kangaskhan is similar, only appearing in the Kanto Safari Zone, but it only naturally appears on Route 15 in Unova, Glittering Cave in Kalos, and Wella Volcano in Alola. Unfortunately, other than the Mega Evolution exclusive to Kalos, which could mean anything, I wasn't able to find any other data supporting these 3 points of origin, so for now we'll have to leave Kangaskhan as origin unknown. Pokemon Go does give us a hint though, with Kangaskhan only appearing in Australia, so if we ever get a region based on in the future, that might just be the place that we're looking for. Eevee is another Pokemon in the same category. It's treated as an extremely rare, exotic Pokemon in the first 4 core regions of Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, and Sinnoh, but it naturally appears in the wild in all 4 of the foreign regions, first appearing in the Castelia Central Park, then Kalos Route 10, Routes 4 and 6 in Alola, and in the wild area of Galar. Now, it does appear near the Backlot Mansion in the Sinnoh region, but remember, all those Pokemon have been imported similar to the Safari Zones. So sadly, we can't count that. Again, other than the Z Crystal in Alola, which could mean literally anything, Eevee's point of origin is shrouded in mystery. Perhaps that's a good thing though, maybe they're not quite done yet with this fan-favorite family. Anyway, I'm tired of Gen 1. Are you tired of Gen 1? I'm tired of Gen 1. So let's skippity-doo-dah down to the Hoenn region where we find Corphish and Crawdaunt, as Ruby and Sapphire's Pokedex states that Corphish were imported to Hoenn as pets, but later got loose and turned up in the wild. This entry is echoed in the Alola region, where they say wild Corphish basically came from people setting them free. The entries for it in the Kanto, Johto, and Galar regions also describe it as a Pokemon from afar, so the search for its homeland continues. Given its dex entries though, Corphish is likely based on the red swamp crayfish, which is an invasive species that was originally native to Mexico and the southeastern United States. This may explain why Corphish is one of the few Pokemon that's been catchable in every region since its introduction in Gen 3. Getting back to regional variants, Galarian Zigzagoon in the Pokemon Shield Pokedex are stated to be the oldest branch of Zigzagoon, and that the ones that we've come to know from other regions are unusually passive, which could be the reason preventing them from evolving into Obstagoon. Metagross is documented as originally discovered in Hoenn, but it and its pre-evolution Metang only naturally appear in the Giant Chasm in the Unova region and in the Galar region's Crown Tundra. The Pokemon Sword Pokedex entry from Metagross also states that the ideal climate for Metagross is atop snowy mountains, of which the Hoenn region has none. So, as a personal theory, I'm assuming that Stephen Stone caught Metagross in one of these foreign regions, brought it back to Hoenn, and bred the first discovered Beldum, even though they appear in Alola. And maybe, just because of that, the whole evolution line was reclassified as a Hoenn discovery. Starting us off for Sinnoh is Gible. Right away in Pokemon Diamond, the Pokedex states it once lived in the tropics. To avoid the cold, it lives in caves warmed by geothermal heat. Perfect, so like Exeggutor, it must come from Alola, right? Wrong. In Pokemon Ultra Moon, the Pokedex continues this wild goose chase, reading its original home is in an area much hotter than Alola. If you're planning to live with one, your heating bill will soar. So while that doesn't answer much, at least we know there's a region out there with a huge Sahara desert, I guess. Which also means there's a possibility that we could see regional forms of Gible, Gabite, and Garchomp, which is incredibly exciting. Another Gen 4 Pokemon, Carnivine, likely comes from a region other than Sinnoh, since in that region it only appears in the Great Marsh, their equivalent to the Safari Zone. They have been found living naturally in very secluded areas of other regions, but we still don't know for certain where they're from. As of right now, evidence points to Kalos since they appear in routes 14 and 19 without any gimmicks attached, but it's still too vague to say for certain. Real-life Venus flytraps are similarly rare, only growing naturally in North and South Carolina. Shout out to me. Pokemon Go also reflects this, with Carnivine being our regional exclusive species. So maybe in Gen 82 you guys can come visit me in the North Carolina region. I look forward to it. If I'm still alive. Likewise, Skorupi is likely not from the Sinnoh region, as various Pokedex entries describe it originating in hot, arid areas, and the Galar region Pokedex even goes as far to say that Skorupi and Sizzlipede share a common ancestor. It's possible that both of these species could come from that unknown Australian region, since, well, everything dangerous comes from Australia. And like Carnivine, in the Sinnoh region it only resides in the Great Marsh, implying that it was brought there from far away. Moving on to Gen 5, it's highly implied that Alola is the true home of the Sandile family, as the Pokedex remarks on how Alola is the ideal climate for Sandile to live in, and they don't even have to be confined to the deserts like they are in other regions. Even though they still are. Though I suppose the door is still open for them to share the same native region as Gible, if that ever comes to pass. Regardless, it seems unlikely that they would originate in Unova if the region's climate endangers their lives. Have you seen the deserts in New York? They're not very big. Yungoos and Gumshoos are not from the Alola region, as the dex states that they were imported to control the local population of Rattata. This matches up with real life as well, since real mongooses, or mongoose, or however you say it, are from Africa, but were introduced to places like the Hawaiian Islands over time. So, maybe like Rattata before them, we may get to see these two with regional variants at some point. I mean, need I remind you, this scene from Season 1 still exists. Eiscue is not from the Galar region, as the Pokedex describes it drifting in from a frigid place. So, North Pole region? Question mark? Actually, Game Freak, you can keep that one. I don't think it would be very interesting. Sorry to North Pole stands everywhere. Cufant and Caparaja are also stated to be imported to the Galar region as working Pokemon, which could be a loose reference to the British colonizing India, where elephants are a native species. And those are really just the big ones that I wanted to hit on. Truth is, if you keep on digging, there are tons of other Pokemon that originate from unknown regions, like Kubfu and Meltan, or extraterrestrial Pokemon like Deoxys and Clefairy, who don't come from any region. And then there's just Mew, who comes from real-life Guyana in South America, which I'm curious to see if that's something they'll ever retcon as the Pokemon world continues to expand. I hope you enjoyed today's video and possibly even learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, it really helps me out, and subscribe for more videos like this one. I'll see you guys next time.